I finally watched the Haikyuu movie. I have thoughts. Some important backstory I feel I need to share before we start. Haikyuu is my favorite anime of all time. It was one of the first animes I ever watched, and nothing has been able to dethrone it so far. To put it in perspective, I'm usually someone who doesn't enjoy to rewatch shows or movies. My thought is, I already know what's going to happen, so why use my time on that when I could experiencing something for the first time? I have rewatched Haikyuu 4 times.
And I'm addicted! So I can't quit!
I'm a competitive person by nature, and sports have always been a massive part of my life, so this commonality was a major factor of how I got into anime in the first place. But I've never played volleyball. You think I'd be more interested in a sport that I already have experience with. Ace of the Diamond, Major League, Pride of Ace of the Diamond. It comes down to a simple reason. Haikyu does it better. I've never seen a sports anime, or really any other anime, that does character development as well as Haikyu. We see the good moments, the bad moments, and everyone gets their chance to shine. Instead of just focusing on one team, we get development for the opponents as well. You become more invested in the matches, start rooting for certain characters, and these actually start to feel like real teams and not just made up characters. Plus the animation, minus a couple of outsourced episodes in season 4, is absolute peak. Unfortunately, no theaters near me were showing the movie, so I had to wait until it hit streaming services. And with To the Top Part 2 ending in late 2020, I was fiending to watch more, constantly checking to see if Crunchyroll added it, only to realize the movie dropped on Halloween and I had been oblivious for 2 weeks.
Oh no!
We're finally here, the battle at the garbage dump. Perhaps the worst name for a match between two teams that are actually good. I understand the symbolism with the team identities, fighting in the land versus air, but it's just a hilarious name. It's like calling a cooking competition the Battle of the Salmonella.
Fucking boss is fucking raw!
In my mind, this was the match I was most looking forward to, even above Shiratorizawa. If Karasuno is Team A in the show, Nakoma is Team B. They've been the most reoccurring team, with the first mention coming all the way back in Season 1, Episode 8. They've had numerous training camps, practice matches, and we've gotten to know a majority of the members. They're 100% Karasuno's rival, but they've never faced each other in an official tournament match. Well, no bigger stage than Nationals. Over 4 seasons of build-up to this match. I'm sure hope it's given the justice it deserves.
No.
Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of good things about this movie, but it's in no way perfect. We'll go over the good, the bad, and the garbage. Nothing's really garbage, I just wanted to reference the match there. I'm not funny. I would like to do this without spoiling, but cannot promise, so this will be your warning. The first thing, it's Haikyu. I was just happy to see these characters back in action after so many years. You feel like you're growing right alongside them, so it's almost like you're rooting for a group of friends to succeed. The real first thing, though, has to be the animation. Haikyuu's animation quickly rose to the top. To the top. Anyways, it's one of the best examples of making a show hype, but also looking relatively realistic. Don't get me wrong, I love Blue Lock Season 1, but that's a very different type of sports anime. If Haikyu had all these lightning bolt effects on their characters, I'm sure it'd distract from the match itself. Despite the quality from Production IG, them animating full matches or even just full rallies have to be incredibly time consuming. They make good use of slow motion and reuse animations for receiving and serving. Since volleyball has a lot of repetition, you'll see similar movements frequently. I expected a general increase in animation since we only have an hour and a half rather than a full season, but it genuinely surprised me. There's usually a few game speed shots mixed in with the slow motion, but the amount of full rallies we saw uninterrupted from any weird camera cuts or internal monologues was a pleasant switch up. One thing that can be hard to discern from watching Haikyuu is how fast the game of volleyball can actually be. I implore you, if you've not already, to watch a match of indoor volleyball. Players are serving and spiking the ball over 60 miles per hour, and you have to make split-second reactions on every single play. It's incredibly impressive, and I think this movie does a great job showcasing that. We have shots that follow the players, ball shots, that sounds weird, side court views, and even television shots. Those were my personal favorite, as it would be how the average fan would most likely be viewing said matches. We all know about the rivalry between Karasuno and Nakoma, but a rivalry just as long was the one between Hinata and Kenma. Complete opposites. We got cracked out Hinata, who seems to have infinite energy and plays just purely on his athletic ability, and Kenma, the reserved and methodical guy who hates exerting energy. But when faced up against each other, it takes them to their peak. Hinata has to actually think for once, and Kenma wants to win, even at the expense of getting tired. Kenma attempting to trap Hinata, and ultimately Hinata being able to break free from his own weakness. We're able to see sides of these characters we aren't used to, and that makes the overall dynamic of the match feel way less predictable. And holy fucking shit, the finale scene was actually peak. Hinata comes up with a clutch feint shot, but Nakoma doesn't seem phased. We all know Kenma is this gamer, and the analogy he makes about trying your best not to die before beating your enemy is surprisingly relatable. These encouraging words are played over what almost feels like a triumphant song, a song made for victory, to show that Nakoma still has fight in them. But then, it fades. The entire sequence shown in the perspective of Kenma may be one of my favorite scenes in the entirety of Haikyuu. The silence, a feeling of being trapped, pushed to your limits, and no matter how hard you tried, you won't be able to come back from the dead or heal up. You just lose. I think every person has had one of these moments where it feels like no matter what you do, you won't accomplish your goal. And then we pair this scene where his back's up against the wall with all of the great backstory we got with him growing up, with like Kuro and kind of figuring out his own mindset. And Kenma goes from being one of the more boring to one of the most interesting characters we've seen in the Haikyu universe. An absolutely fantastic final scene, but unfortunately, the movie isn't without its flaws. The first being, well, that it's a movie. I'm not trying to sound ungrateful. I'm happy that there is still Haikyuu content being released, but the concept of a movie in general doesn't fit the basis of Haikyuu. People who haven't seen the show will look at it and be like, oh yeah, that short kid with the bright orange hair has to be the main character. But he's not. It's all of Karasuno. We've spent time getting to know the team, watching them grow, adapt, and progress in their volleyball journey. Everyone has had struggles, successes, and their contributions to the team are just as important as anyone else. It's said by Iwa early on to Oikawa and remains a theme throughout the entire anime. The team with the stronger 6 players will come out on top. Karasuno wasn't always strong, and they were often referred to as baby crows or the fallen crows for a good part of the early seasons. They had talent and the will, but had to work to hone their skills and most importantly, learn to function as a team. It's not like Hinata came in with these otherworldly athletic abilities and just carried his team to greatness. No, in many regards, he still fucking sucks, but that's the beauty of a team game. Everyone is trying to achieve the same goal, and because of that, their plays are shown accordingly. But if you asked me about the movie, it felt like Hinata was the main character. And honestly, he might not even be the main character. It was probably Kenma. The relationship and rivalry between Kenma and Hinata was always going to be a main focus, and we got a ton of backstory on Kenma that I wasn't necessarily expecting. But besides those two and maybe Kuro, the rest of the players felt invisible. Tsuki has a bit of screen time given his relationship with Kuro and learning the game a bit better, but what else? Kageyama felt underused, Daichi's biggest moment was his pregame handshake, Nishinoya had like 4 receives, Suga was just yelling like an idiot from the sidelines, Tanaka maybe spiked it twice, and I honestly forgot Asahi was even on the fucking team. It was also one of the first times that substitute players felt like actual substitutes. How's Suki gonna hype up Yamaguchi saying that he'll surpass him, but the guy only gets subbed in to pinch serve once? Inoshita, Kinoshita, Narita, don't think said a single word.
What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
You know, when the entire identity of the anime has been built on all of these characters, you simply cannot showcase that in a movie's runtime. It also felt harder to get into the feel of the match. Take, for example, the previous match against Inarizaki. We have almost 10 to 11 episodes of content for that singular match. Why?
Why?
Because volleyball matches aren't short. A best of 3 where you have to get to 25 points and win by 2? That's fucking grueling. The more episodes the match has, obviously within reason, the more it feels like you're watching a real game. You see the points, the mistakes, the team adaptations, and how tired players get when playing these extended sets. If you take the runtime of the movie minus the opening sequences, credits, and after credits scene, it's about an hour and 15 minutes of content, equating to 3, maybe 3.5 episodes. That's barely more time than we got against Tsubaki Hara, and I don't think I could even name a player on that team, so I think it's safe to say the Nakoma match was much more important. The feeling just isn't the same when watching the shorter matches. Tokonami or Jozenji versus Seijo and Shiratorizawa. What do you remember more?
Wait a minute! Who are you?
At the end of the day, there's decisions beyond any of our control that made this a movie rather than a part of a new season, but when the entire match against Nakoma is about surpassing your limits, it would have been nice to see the players get to said limits. And maybe I'm just a fucking hater, but I didn't like how buddy-buddy Karasuno and Nakoma were. I know at this point most everyone are friends, but there was a bit too much positivity for a national elimination game. Sure, you can be impressed with the plays the opposition is making, but don't say it directly to them during a match. Nice spike, dude. You are so cool and talented, and probably have an above average wing that could satisfy my girlfriend more than me. You know what? You can have her too. I'm obviously paraphrasing. Of course I don't have a girlfriend.
Ooh, self-burn. Those are rare.
Main thing is, when I'm in a sporting match, I am eternally locked. I don't care if you're my best friend, my fucking mother, my dad, my grandma. I'm trying to beat your ass. We can save the congratulations and formalities for once the game is over. Again, maybe I'm just an overly competitive dickhead, but that's how I felt. I don't want this to come across as the movie being ass. It's not. I've actually watched it 3 times in total and found myself enjoying it more with each watch. It's just unfortunate because it's far from the Haikyuu we're accustomed to. I think you'll still find enjoyment watching the dumpster battle. There's a lot to love, but I definitely left wanting a bit more. I'd like to say, don't worry, it gets better. But we have another movie that is supposedly going to be the end of the anime. So yeah, there's that. If you had a chance to watch the Haikyuu movie, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to talk to you all very, very soon.